I made quite an extraordinary find today at a local thrift store. I saw a Figural bottle on a shelf, and it was Santa Claus. It was made of clear glass, and I picked it up and I looked it over and I set it back down. I thought perhaps it was old, but I wasn't sure, and I did not want to spend $2 on a modern knockoff piece because, Santa Clauses are a dime a dozen this time of year. As I continued shopping, I could not get the bottle out of my mind, so I went back again for a closer look. It was in very good condition, with a small chip on the upper lip. The neck of the bottle, though, is what stood out to me. There was no seam line, and I knew this meant the bottle would be quite old. So I put it in my cart and brought it home to me, and I'm glad I did. My $2 was really well spent. I began a search online and was very happy with what I found out. This awesome Figural was made here in the United States between 1865 and 1870, and it was listed as rare. I began thinking about the era that this came from, and it makes this great bottle even more special to me. Because you see, in the year 1865, what was going on here in the United States? We were not so well united at that time. The Civil War, perhaps the bloodiest battle in our history, was just getting in gear. And I wonder if this bottle was at home in the North or the South. Were there family members who were out on a battlefield ready to lose their life for what they believed in? Perhaps this bottle offered some cheer and hope in what must have been a very dismal Christmas season that year. Abraham Lincoln was president, and Hannibal Hamlin was vice president, probably the least known and least respected of any vice president we had. And on April 14th of 1865, an horrendous national tragedy struck were the war not bad enough. President Lincoln was gunned down at the Ford Theater as he and his wife watched the performance of Our American Cousin. And the following day, after the death of the president, Andrew Johnson was sworn into office as the new chief executive. As I said, this Santa bottle, which probably contained bitters, was manufactured between 1865 and 1870. Now let's jump ahead now and see what was happening in the United States in 1870. As this bottle sat on a fireplace mantel or in a liquor cabinet, it would have been in full view of a Christmas tree that was lighted by candles. It might also have heard conversations about what the latest news events were. Hiram Rhodes Revels became the first black man to become a congressman, and this was only a short time after the Civil War. On November 1st of 1870, the National Weather Service was created, and its first forecast was high winds at Chicago and Milwaukee and along the lakes. The 15th Amendment to the Constitution was enacted, giving black men the right to vote, and in Utah, women were given the right to vote, but it would be a while before that took place on a national basis. Whenever I have found an artifact or a relic or an antique, it becomes a history lesson for me. There is so much more, of course, that was going on here in the United States, but let's shift gears now and look at some interesting facts about Santa Claus, that jolly old elf. First off, Santa Claus was real. Well, sort of. He was based on a person born in 2070 A.D., and his name was St. Nicholas, and he was the Bishop of Myra in what is now Turkey. He is known to have given out coins as gifts to children, as well as other acts of kindness. Now, although it seems that Santa has been around forever, he has in fact only been around for about 200 years, as we know him, and he has his origins with the Dutch people. His name then was Sinterklaas. He would actually go from house to house delivering presents. Washington Irving, in his 1809 book, A History of New York, Santa is no longer looked at as a bishop in the Catholic Church. Instead, Irving described Santa as a portly, bearded man who smoked a pipe. And in this 1809 story is the first time Santa was described as sliding down a chimney. Now, Santa's reindeer did not appear as part of the myth until 1822 in Clement Moore's ever-popular and beloved 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. And in the story, as most of us know, his sleigh was pulled by 8 tiny reindeer. Our modern image of Santa was given to us by none other than the Coca-Cola Company. You see, when he first began appearing in illustrations, Santa wore many color clothes. It was not uncommon to see him in purple, green, blue, and brown. But beginning in the late 1800s, it became popular to outfit Santa Claus in red. Artist Louis Prang depicted him in red in a series of Christmas cards in 1885, but this modern depiction of Santa was seared as an American icon in 1932 when artist Haddon Sanborn illustrated Santa in a series of Coca-Cola ads which caught on quite well with the American public, and these ads became very beloved at showing scenes of Santa at Christmas time. So when did Santa Claus begin making special appearances at department stores? That was 122 years ago when James Edgar, a Massachusetts businessman, became the first store Santa. And Edgar is created for having Santa dress up as a marketing tool. Now, Mr. Claus was a bachelor until the 1800s when James Rees published in 1840 a short story titled Christmas Legend, and over the next few decades the character of Mrs. Claus found her way into other literary endeavors. But it was not until 1889 when Catherine Lee Bates widely circulated a poem titled Goody Santa Claus on a Sleigh Ride that Mrs. Claus became a member of the legend, of the mythos. Santa Claus has had a very colorful and long history. He is, without a doubt, part of the childhood of most of you watching this video. He certainly was mine. Santa Claus may not exist in reality, but in the hearts of every child he lives on. And a small piece of me also still believes that Santa Claus, the jolly old elf, does really live in the bitter cold regions known as the North Pole.